Thank you so much, everyone, for coming and for inviting me here today, and hello to all tuning in. I want to start today by presenting a certificate for the environment work you've already done at St Martin's. You've achieved a bronze certificate for installing nest boxes, creating a wildflower area, taking part in a new living churchyard scheme, and for having an awesome array of solar panels. Now, we have something called the Green Church Awards. And upon completing 3 in each of these columns, you get a bronze certificate. And if you get 6 in each, you get silver. If you do them all, you get gold, and the bishop presents that certificate. So along with this certificate today, I have some other gifts as well, including a Cornish apple tree. Mike, Environment Champion, please step forward. I would like to present to you this bronze certificate. Can we give Mike a round of applause? Thank you very much, and thank you also for your wonderful talk and presentation on the problems. Now, for all those other things to be completed, we need your help. Mike can't do it on his own. But before you do, let's have a look at you personally and what this means to you first. I have some really good news today. The next 15 years are going to be made up of great change and real opportunity. First of all, cast your mind back 20 years. Some of you were not even born. We had plastic bottles, toilet rolls, glass, and we threw them in the bin. Yes, do you remember? And when we suggested that we recycle them, people thought it was outrageous at first. Gosh, it was hard work getting people going and recycling. Big change. But now you all love it, and you're quite precious about it. Of course, there's always room for improvement. Back then, our plastic bottles were made into carpet. Toilet rolls would be made into egg boxes, and glass bottles would go into the A30 that some of you would have driven on this week. Don't worry, it's in the base layer. Oh, we had real opportunities. Suddenly everyone was doing it because it was easy to do and interesting. So now we have climate change. Too much dirty stuff going up there, causing havoc. Here's Adam Painter, surveying the scene, Cover Act 2017. The most intense storm we have ever seen. Again, we're in it together. We must make sure that it is a just transition and for everyone to take part in this real opportunity. Especially at this time. Right now, Epiphany is the time of when the local event of Christ's birth went global. An explosion, a pinprick of light that came into the world. Observed by the Magi, the kings, or the scientists, or perhaps the astrologers, their visit signifies the coming of the world to worship Jesus. As something that was suddenly understood, a light goes on and we see things differently. Those Magi were known as the wise men, and we need that wisdom in which we see the world around us more clearly, as if through God's eyes, and for us to respond. Much like the week before Christmas, the excitement of the great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn took place, that some of us saw. People around the world were so excited to observe it and make a connection with what the Magi saw back then. As NASA called it, the Christmas star, it was something we could all trust, even if we could not see it, but know it was happening. A hook that lifted us all. Do you remember? Well, keep looking and notice how much we must look after those skies, that atmosphere. How every choice we make now, every time you open your purse or wallet, impacts on God's creation. Remember in Isaiah, lift up your eyes And look about you. I can share with you something else that happened the week before Christmas. The second best Christmas present any of us could wish for, but most of us won't know about it yet. An amazing man called Chris Stark, the chief executive of the Climate Change Committee, who advises government, presented the 6th carbon budget to a worldwide audience. It was an awful lot of groundbreaking work. It was one of the most exciting weeks of my life where I realised it's all been worth it. A plan they hope government will legislate to help make it happen. It involves major change over the next decade, starting now. They confidently tell us industry is showing the right signals and it's starting to happen already, anyway. Please know that if you get behind their plan and do something today, as you make the near future better for your granddaughter, your son, your friend, your priest, Isaiah, your heart will throb and swell with joy. We're in it together. Do you want to stop putting dirty emissions up there? Of course you do. Why haven't you? Because it is a little difficult. Some people do it this way. I haven't got time, haven't got enough money. Well, this is about a just transition now. It saves money. It will become law. It is easy. It will be the way of the future. But you have the opportunity to shape decisions by taking them now, taking part now, importantly as Christians, to tell others what you have done. That is the equivalent to the gold the wise took that night. Help others. Hold their hand. You can help those poor souls that flood to not have such a bad future. To those who have not flooded yet but will, you know you have done something to help. I ask you all to go home and switch who you buy your electricity from. The one that sends 3 busloads of emission up into the atmosphere to a greener one that has 100% renewable electricity from wind or sunshine. That is the future. Isaiah, the wealth on the seas will be brought to you. To you the riches of nations will come. Some of you will be doing that already and switching, and thank you so much. A few years ago, we came up with these 10 things to do. These leaflets are at the back of the church. Please pick one up when you go. They will be available online on the link on the YouTube later. Canon Philip Lambert, who was here then, he wrote to everyone and asked them to do them. And they did, because a trusted messenger asked them. What I've asked you to do today is pledge 1. And if you've done it already and you've switched to renewables at home, thank you. Later, please talk to somebody else and help them. Talk to them about how easy it was and when you did it. All through this season, have courage, share your wisdom, speak up and create light. Let's hear from Lord Deben, who chairs the Climate Change Committee, as they presented the carbon budget plan to everyone during Christmas week. And another reason I've chosen this small part of a 1-hour webinar that you can watch if you want to and hear about all kinds of amazing things is normally when we have coffee after church, a lot of the questions I get or barriers that come up, Lord Deben addresses in just these few minutes I've picked that I'd like to share with you.
Today we can announce the 6th carbon budget. It's a wholly different budget from any that we have done before, because instead of it being just a budget, it's actually the pathway that we have to tread in order to reach net zero in 2050. Of course, Parliament has already said that that is our statutory requirement. Britain has to do that. But how does it do it? And that's what the 6th carbon budget shows. It shows step by step how we get there, how we actually make our contribution to the world battle to set back climate change. Now, the Prime Minister has already accepted the key part of that in saying that by 2030, we're going to have to reduce our emissions by 68%. Now, that is a remarkable promise, but it is crucial. We have to do that if we're going to reach net zero by 2050. And we now have a route map, so government will be able to legislate, to regulate, and above all to encourage so that we can do the job properly. I say encourage because most of the cost is going to be carried by the private sector. That's where the investment comes. And the great and remarkable fact is that that investment is precisely the kind of investment that we have to do in any way in order to get out of the post-COVID problems. We want to grow our economy again. If we want to put Britain back on the map again, then these are precisely the investments that we have to make. So in fighting climate change, we are improving the economy and we are making ourselves able to compete. Because now we live in a world in which others have made the same choice. We were very much ahead of the pack, but now China, South Korea, Japan, and under President-elect Joe Biden, the United States, are all going to be committed to net zero. So if we want to export to them, if we want to build our economy together with them, we'll have to produce low and no carbon products. So it's in our whole economic interest to make the jobs, to ensure the future, and to make the economic success that we need to fight climate change, as this sixth carbon budget explains. But we won't win. We can't win if we don't do this in a just and fair way. The people will join and do the things that we all need to do together if they feel that we are in it together. If they feel that the burdens are being borne by the few and not by the many, by those who can't afford it rather than those who can afford it, then frankly, we're not going to win this battle. So we need a just transition. And that is what the Climate Change Committee, in producing the sixth carbon budget, has been planning.
The link to that whole presentation is just 1 hour. Will go up on the YouTube link later. I want you to know I work with Cornwall Council on something called strategic resilience, which means getting ready for a different climate, as well as these major changes. And you can help with this today by following these. Pledge 2 is easy and a bit of a treat. It's about buying local, seasonal food for 2 whole meals a week. This is super key, as farmers lie at the heart of this just transition to this carbon budget. And you being able to buy your food locally so you get into the rhythm of the land again. Buying and enjoying seasonable foods develops resilience in you, so you're closer to what can or cannot be grown and how you can secure your vitamin C and protein during tougher times. Following these 10 pledges helps you to get started and, most importantly, to promote engagement with this essential work in God's mission across all 5 marks of mission. I find it really exciting what Mike said earlier, and I think all 5 marks of mission are through this whole thing. And one of them, pledge 4, I pledged to contact my MP and my friends and make these pledges too. Imagine if you say, I saw Lord Demon in church this morning and I'm very excited about the next 10 years, and here's why. If you speak to your friends and your MP, now is the time to support this. Because when we think about what we can do about this in our lives, how might we personally contribute to a more just and sustainable and peaceful society? Here's your little reminders. So take them home. They save you money. I was in a church last year and an 84-year-old man chased me up the aisle. Lucy, I did pledge one. I'm saving £15 a month. They support the local shops. They boost your health. They get you ready for climate change, pledge 3, which you can already tick from what you've learnt today. Then you can move on to the Green Church Awards and help your church over the next decade to absolutely shine. So we can all start together. Some of you already have, but we can embrace them and have something good to say to everyone about how we are transforming a short-term way of life into a longer-term possibility. I'd like to invite you all to take part and consider your role in caring for God's creation. Let's enjoy taking action on some of the biggest issues of our time. After all, they're easy to do and interesting. Enjoy turning your love into action. Amen.